Hey YouTube, Lucidus Lux here. Sorry it's been a while since I've made a video. Been in the middle of finishing my degree, which I finally finished. I just feel amazing that it's finally done. But I wanted to bring another video for you today. It's been a little bit, and I recently installed a Mr. Cool do-it-yourself 3rd generation. And I just want to go over the pros and cons. This thing has changed my life, and I don't mean to exaggerate. It's been super hot here, and this has kept my house very, very cold. Just want to go over some things I've learned about it, some things I like, some things I don't like. Without further ado, here we go. Alright, jumping right into this, let's start from the top with the outside unit for the Mr. Cool. I have purchased the Mr. Cool do-it-yourself 3rd generation. I bought the 12,000 BTU model. It set me back about $1,400 and some change. The brackets there were about $50 to $60 extra dollars, so a little bit extra. Something I really like about this unit is it wasn't that expensive. For me, $1,400 was fine, and it cools my house very, very well. I would like to add this unit has made my life so much better. I'm going to do a video in the future about my other portable air conditioner. It's just really not that great. I don't recommend them unless they have 2 hoses, because they only have 1 hose, and most of the time it's just blowing hot air out the side of your house, and it puts a vacuum on your house and basically replaces the hot air it's blowing out with more hot air. It sucks through all the cracks. So this is a split unit. It doesn't do that. This has really changed my life. It's kept my house very cool for the hot, humid summers I have in North Carolina. As I mentioned, it was about $1,400 and some change. Adding the brackets, it's closer to $1,500. What I really like about this unit is it is truly a do-it-yourself. I didn't need anything extra, and it came with everything that I was supposed to have. Now, with that, I have to add a caveat. Mine was missing the black tape up there and some of the epoxy for sealing the sleeve that goes to the wall. So I had to add that. For whatever reason, it was missing out of there, but that was no problem because I had some of that on hand. But it's supposed to come with it. That was the only thing that I really didn't like when I opened my box. But this unit is very quiet. I don't know if you can hear over the wind and the locusts, but that's as loud as it gets. And it actually has a quieter mode. If that's too loud for you, you can set it so it's even quieter. But what I really like about this unit is everything is in it. So it comes with the sleeve, it comes with the epoxy, it comes with all the parts, and this line is really long. It's longer than I need. You can't cut it because the line is pre-charged. So with most split units, you have to hire a technician to come out and charge the line for you and hook it up. I didn't want to do that. So this already comes with a charge on the line. And actually, that's one of the harder parts. Besides lifting it up there, which I definitely recommend you have somebody help you. I was able to do it myself, but it was very heavy. Hooking that up from the line to the unit was probably one of the hardest things I had to do. It took me 45 minutes to an hour. In total, about 3.5 hours to install, but only because I had to adjust some things inside as well as on the outside. I could probably have done it in 2 hours if I didn't have to adjust. But that line right there took almost an hour to hook up. Those lines are so pre-charged that it's very, very hard to get that fitting on there without stripping it. And it just took a long, long time. I worked on it and worked on it. I finally got the threads aligned. It was actually quite a pain. It took till 2 a.m. I started really late, and it was a little bit of a problem. But I finally got it on. But that's what I like about it, is you don't have to hire anybody as long as you're comfortable with wiring it yourself. I pretty much wired my entire house, so that wasn't an issue for me. But you've got to do your own electrical. You've got to run your own circuit, which I ran from the bottom and put it in a conduit and whatnot. So this is the outside unit. It's pretty light, it's pretty quiet, it's pretty efficient, and with that, we're gonna move inside. I just want to talk really quick about the pros and cons of this unit. Something I really, really like about it is the fact that it's a do-it-yourself, and this is a true do-it-yourself. It did not take me very long to install this. It did take me a little extra because I just had a unique situation, but honestly, you have everything you need minus a few extra tools and some basic expertise like electrical knowledge. If you're comfortable wiring your own circuits, it's fine. I mean, you can install this thing. You don't have to pay any extra. You don't have to bring another technician in. The lines are pre-charged, and it truly is a do-it-yourself. It was at ease. The directions were pretty straightforward. There's a few places you got to fill in the gaps, but if you have common sense, you should have no problem. Having a helper is helpful, but really not necessary unless you're mounting it up there. Then you got to lug it up a little ways. Something else I really like is this thing is really cheap to run. So my electric bill actually dropped. So my old portable air conditioner was not efficient, and my electric bill was running about 110 in the summertime, and that's everything, that's total, which is very, very high for me. My electric bill dropped to about 70, 75, I think the highest was 79, with this thing running 24/7. The 110 was when I used my portable air conditioner when he was really hot and it wasn't running all the time. This thing never turns off. My electric bill does not go above $80, and that's the highest it's been. Most of the time it's around the $70 mark. So really, really affordable. And by the way, that's everything. I have a lot of extra things running in my house. I have batteries always being charged. I have a surround sound system. I have TVs that are on. I have a lot of different electrical demands. So this thing's even cheaper than that to run. If you're hearing all that booming in the background, it's thunder. Don't worry, it's a storm's coming. But something else I really like about this is the connectivity. So we'll go over in the app in just a little bit right after this. The app is so easy to use. It's so straightforward. It's very simple. I can pair it with my Raspberry Pi. I'm working on completely automating my house, and I'll make more videos as I go. I'm looking at adding some facial recognition software. I actually want to put some flamethrowers on it. And that's a whole nother video that I haven't even got to yet. I've been very busy in the corporate environment finishing my degree, so I've had to focus on other things. But this thing is really easy. It's a breeze to use on the app. It's very powerful, and it keeps the house cold. I have not had to stretch this thing for the most. I mean, it's been pretty average. I haven't had to really push it. I've never had to put it on turbo mode because it has been satisfying my needs. For 12,000 BTUs and for how cheap it is, I just leave it on all the time, then comfy mode cycles it. So we'll get it more into the app, comfy mode and all that later. Some of the drawbacks is I wish they had more options for comfy mode, and I'll get into that just a little bit. And also the pre-charge lines, like I mentioned before, it was really hard to attach those. You can't really help that when they're pre-charged, but it almost took me an hour to attach those pre-charge lines. But other than that, the directions were pretty straightforward, and with common sense, it's a breeze. So with that, let's move on to the inside. So this is the inside unit. It's very compact. I really, really like it. It was easy to install. It's very light. There's a bracket that hangs back there on my 2x6, and I lowered my cabinets a little bit just to make it so it's just enough room, and it's sitting right in the kitchen, which is in the middle of my house. It's pretty easy and straightforward. I'll show you here. In here you have the filter. So I'll show you a little later with the app, but these are pretty easy. You just pull them out, wash them out. It's pretty simple. I'll actually do that really quick just so you can see. I mean, you just rinse them out. It's pretty straightforward. It's really easy to clean, and it'll tell you when to clean it. It's a feature I really like. And then in here, you actually have the adapter. I call it the adapter because I'm from the generation where you had to have like a Netgear thing because Wi-Fi wasn't built in. You saw a little flash there. This is what syncs it with the Wi-Fi, enables you to communicate with it on the app, and makes it smart as well. So you have a temperature readout right here. It shows if it's connected to the Wi-Fi, and I'm actually going to turn the light on here and show you the remote. So the remote is actually not the best way to control it. The app is, and I will go into that in just a little bit. But this remote does a couple things. You can turn it on or off. You can change the mode, the fan, set it to sleep mode, turn it to turbo or self-cleaning mode. And then you have the silence mode, which basically makes it really quiet on the outside and in. And I don't know if you can hear anything, but that is on high. And it's pretty much like a whisper. This thing's really efficient and it's really quiet, so I've never used this. You have the, sorry, I'm having a hard time focusing here. You have the timer mode, and then you have it on or off. Swing mode, so this enables pretty much the louver to move, and as you can see, it's moving upwards, so it basically redirects the air. It moves up and down. You can freeze it in at a certain area, like I want it right there. That's like position 1. I just have it on auto. I don't care what it does. Some people do. And then you have the direct mode. And then right here you have LED, so at night you can turn that off if you don't want to see it, if it's too bright for you. I leave it on, I don't care. Then you have follow me mode on this, so basically wherever this thing goes is where it senses with the temperature. It sends straight to that. So if I go back in the bedroom and it's like 71, it'll say, oh, it's 71, we need to kick it on high. But this is the remote that comes with it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. And this is the main unit. It's very light. I was able to install it by myself, and then I had all the unit, the pipe stuff going out the back. You can set it to either come out either side, and yeah, so let's move right into the app. So one of the things I love about the Mr. Cool unit is how simple and how straightforward and how powerful its app or dashboard and connectivity is. Everything can be accessed remotely based on the little adapter I showed you earlier, and what you're looking at right here is the main dashboard. So from here you can install multiple Mr. Cools. You have, if I had multiple devices, it'll all be listed here. I only have one. So I'm going to go through basically its function. So you're looking at the main temperature. Right now it's 77 degrees in my house. Had the door open for a while. It's set to 70. I can turn it on and off here, and then you have that little green circle which is showing us on air conditioning. Now if I had that on heat, that would be yellow. And yes, my air conditioner is named the Tits. The story behind that is when I was installing it, there was about 5 hours I had no air conditioning, and it got about 95 to 100 degrees with about 50% humidity to 60 in my house, and it was so hot and miserable. When I turned it on, it was just the absolute tits, and that is exactly what I named it. Alright, so here is your main control board. You have your thermostat. It's pretty simple to see. You can turn it up, you can turn it down, and you may hear it beeping in the background. That's because it's actually changing according to what I'm showing you here. Now at the bottom you have the different modes you can go through. You have dehumidify mode, you have the fan mode, you can go through like auto where it changes and does its own thing, or you can change it to heat. But since it's hot here, I'm going to go back to air conditioning, and I'm going to set it to high because it is getting a little warm since I have turned it off for a little bit. Now a couple things on the side. Obviously you have the fan speed, which I just showed you, and then you have the position. So you remember that little louver I showed you on the front? You can set that louver to various positions. I have it on auto because I just like it to cycle. And then you have this little fold-out menu on the side. Turbo mode gets it the coldest as fast as you want it to go, and then FP is the coldest. So one goes down the fastest and one holds it at the coldest. So different side modes that it comes with, which I actually haven't used yet because it's been really, really good at keeping my house really cold. It'll hold it whatever temperature you set it at. The reason it's so high right now is because I actually had it off for a little bit and I have the door open, so it's working its way on cooling the house back down. Up at the top, before I go there, you see the comfy mode to the left of the on-off button. That's what I want to go into next. Up at the top you have e-saver, and then you can go into my rules. So Mr. Cool lets you set, as any air conditioner should, a comfy temperature window. So I have a pretty narrow window. I don't want it any colder than 67, and I don't want it to go above 70 degrees. Now if it does, it kicks it on high, or it will cycle it off to fan if it gets too cold. So half the time I have no idea what it's doing. This is what makes it smart. It pretty much does its own thing. It'll give itself a rest when it gets too cold in here, or if it's too hot like it is right now, it'll kick itself on high, or even turbo, and basically cool the house down. So it's basically like a function, if you're familiar with Excel spreadsheets, and you can turn that on and off. I do wish they had more than one comfy mode enabled, because as we go into next with the schedules, it would be really helpful. Unfortunately they don't. So you can sync your schedules with comfy mode. However, you got to know that comfy mode trumps your schedule. So when I get up in the morning, I want the house to get a little warmer. I want it to get up to 75 degrees, and I want the fan to stay on medium. Now I've linked it to the comfy schedule, but I've disabled it because if I enabled it, the comfy would override the schedule and it would make it only 70 degrees in here. I've already tried that and it doesn't work, so I have to disable that. However, when I'm getting home at 5 o'clock, I get home about 5:30, so ahead of time it cools it down a little bit faster, sets it to medium, and brings it down to 70 degrees. And so comfy mode's enabled, pretty much cycles the unit. So half the time I have no idea what it's doing. This is what makes it smart. I really like the comfy mode. I wish they had comfy 1, comfy 2 to link with different schedules, but they don't. So location is a geofence. You can set the unit to do a certain thing when you're so many miles from your house, which is kind of nice. I haven't used it because I don't really need to. My schedule's pretty simple, so I just use pretty much the schedule. And then filter status is a nice little thing. It allows you to kind of see if the filter needs cleaned. This does this automatically, and then when it tells you when it's getting high enough, and then when it's almost full, you can just hit the reset button. I've cleaned the filter and it resets it. And the rest is maintenance and saving tips, which I won't go into. History pretty much shows how much power you've been using, so how long it's been on. Since I'm in North Carolina, you can see it's almost been on 24 hours a day, but you can just kind of go back and see what the air conditioner's been doing as far as power usage. A timeline, I really like the timeline feature. It pretty much shows what it did when. So the yellow is the app, and as you can tell, since I was adjusting it while I was showing you, it's showing all the different settings I did at different times of the day. And if you go back a little further, which I'm gonna have to go back a little ways because I was messing around on it for quite a bit, it'll show you like comfy mode right here. Change the fan speed to high. It's set at 5 o'clock as soon as I was coming home. And then the little bell is the timer. So right before that, pretty much nothing happened all day because well, actually right here, the timer happened just as comfy mode kicked in. But if you go further back at 8 o'clock in the morning, the schedule turned it to 75, and in the middle of the day I decided to set it to medium, because when you have it on schedule without comfy mode enabled, it does what you tell it to do, and if it gets too hot, it'll just keep doing it. It won't adjust to compensate because comfy's not enabled, so I pretty much adjusted manually there. And if you go further on back, you can see all the comfy modes, but you'll see the remote. That's also listed in here, and I haven't used the remote in a while, so I'm just going to scroll a little bit. It is right down here. There it is. So you can see what I did with the remote, and it basically shows you what was done when, which is kind of helpful if you're trying to figure out what's going on, or if someone's messing with your air conditioner at home, or you're on the app. It's just kind of nice. So that's it. It's pretty much straightforward. I really like it. So you can enable or disable comfy mode also right here on the main screen. You see it to the left of the power button. That would just simply turn it on or off. That's also important because I've had it where I just wanted to give the air conditioner rest, and I was leaving with my dog, and so I didn't want it on in the house, so I'd turn it off for like 3 hours of the day. Now if you try to turn it off, comfy mode will turn it right back on because it's sensing the temperature is going up, so it's going to turn it back on. So you have to turn it off twice, or you just disable comfy mode from the app. So the app is actually the best way to control it, and the remote is not, because it'll just turn right back on. I've had that happen before because comfy mode was still enabled. So that's it. I really like the app. It's pretty straightforward. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.